You were deep in something. Emails, maybe, or just a scroll. And then you heard it. That soft, wet thud near your foot. You looked down without really looking, the way you look at things when your brain is still somewhere else. And there it was, a rope toy, fraying at both ends, damp in the way only a dog toy gets damp, sitting about 6 inches from your shoe. And your dog, sitting just behind it, tail doing that slow, patient pendulum thing. Not frantic, not demanding, just watching your face, waiting for something to register there. Pause. You picked it up, gave it a little shake, tossed it down the hall the way you always do. They scrambled after it, nails clicking on the floor, and 30 seconds later they were back. Same spot, same toy, same eyes looking up at you. And you thought, cute, and went back to your screen. I did the same thing, for years honestly. It took me an embarrassingly long time to understand that it was never about the toy. Not even a little bit. Here's what we tell ourselves. Dogs bring toys because they want to play. Simple, cute. Moving on. It fits neatly into this idea we have of dogs as these cheerful, uncomplicated little creatures who just want fetch and food and belly rubs and not much else going on under the hood. And I get why we believe that. It's easier, it's cuter. But then, hold on, actually, if it were always about play, why does your dog bring a toy when you come home from the emergency room at 2 a.m.? Why do they pad over silently when you've been crying on the couch for an hour and just place something soft in your lap and sit down next to it? Why does a dog who has been with you all day, no separation, nothing dramatic, why do they still walk over in the evening and set something at your feet and look at your face like they're trying to read a sentence you haven't finished writing? That is not a play request. That is something else entirely. And your dog doesn't have a single reason for this behavior. They have several, each one meaning something completely different. The uncomfortable part is this. The reason your dog brings you a toy today might not be the same reason they did it yesterday. And most of us treat every single delivery the same way. Toss it, laugh, go back to what we were doing. That's the mistake. And it's quietly creating a gap in your communication that you don't even know exists. Look into the lens. The two is a word. You just have to learn which word it is. Think about the accumulation of it. The toy dropped at your feet during the work call. You waved away with one hand. The squeaky duck presented at the door that you stepped around because you had groceries. The soft bear placed on your lap at 11 p.m. that you moved without thinking so you could get up for water, and you didn't even look at them when you moved it. None of those felt like failures in the moment. They weren't dramatic. Nobody cried. You weren't cruel. But add them up. Your dog has been extending something, reaching over and over and getting back absence. Not cruelty, just the specific, quiet kind of not being seen that is somehow harder to shake. And dogs don't stop immediately. That's the thing that should get you. They keep bringing the toy. They keep placing it. They keep watching your face for something to change. The question that should gut you just a little, how long has yours been trying? Point 3 is the one that reframes every toy delivery you've ever received. And once you hear it, you won't see it the same way again. Point 6 is the behavior most people think is sweet, but is actually your dog quietly asking for something you haven't given them in a while. And point 7, the last one, is why I kept the first toy my dog ever brought me. Still have it. Still where I put it. If your dog has ever done this, even once, you're going to want to stay for all of this. Picture it. You're not even fully through the door yet. You can hear them before you see them. The scrambling, the nails on the floor, that frantic nose-to-the-ground surge happening at high speed. And then they emerge and they have something. A toy, a sock off the laundry pile. Once, memorably, a single oven mitt. Hold up your hands like, yes, really. The myth here is that this is a play request, that they're so excited to see you that they immediately want to start a game. Makes sense on the surface, but watch what happens right after they find the object. Watch their body, the frantic edge, that desperate, overwhelming energy, it softens. Just slightly, the tail is still going, but something settles. Because that object is doing emotional work and it has nothing to do with fetch, especially in retrievers. Though honestly it shows up across breeds, presenting something upon greeting is emotional regulation. Their excitement at your return is so enormous, so physiologically overwhelming, that they need something in their mouth to manage it. The toy is not for you, it's for them. It's the behavioral equivalent of taking a deep breath. And they are doing it at you, in your direction, because you are the center of the storm. My dog used to grab my sock off the floor. She couldn't find a toy in time. Just one sock. Carried it to the door like a tiny ambassador presenting credentials. She wasn't inviting me to play. She was managing a flood of emotion the only way she knew how, and she chose to manage it in my direction because that's where all the feeling was coming from in the first place. But what about the toys they bring when you haven't gone anywhere? When you've been home all day and they still walk over and quietly place something at your feet? Here's the tell. Most people miss. Watch what they do after they place it. If they drop it and immediately back up, do a little bounce, maybe a play bow, bark once, that's a play request. Pretty clear. They're filing the application, as it were. But if they place it and then just stand there, looking at your face, maybe sitting down slowly, tail moving low and steady instead of frantic, that is something completely different. That is an offering. We have this myth that toy dropping always means throw this for me. But some deliveries, especially when the dog doesn't let go of it, just holds it near you or places it so gently you almost didn't notice, those are acts of sharing, of trust. Their toy is, in many cases, their most valued possession, and they are placing it in your proximity, not because they want you to do something with it, because they want you to have it. That is the closest behavioral thing dogs have to giving a gift. The wrapping is just a little soggy. Quiet. My dog did this the night I had the worst day I'd had in years. I didn't tell her that. I didn't do anything differently. I just came in and sat on the couch and stared at the wall. And she walked over slow, placed her rope toy on my knee, and sat down next to me. She didn't want it back. She didn't want me to throw it. She wanted me to have it, because it was the most important thing she owned, and apparently I needed it more than she did that night. And then there's the flip side, the toy behavior that looks like love but is actually your dog asking for help. There's a version of this that looks, from the outside, like an incredibly enthusiastic dog who just loves their toys. They're bringing it constantly, dropping it, picking it back up, dropping it again, circling you, placing it on your foot, picking it up again, lap after lap of the living room, toy in mouth, unable to land anywhere. The textbook calls this object-carrying behavior and lists it as generally benign. The textbook has clearly never watched a dog on their sixth loop of the kitchen at 9 p.m., unable to settle, eyes slightly too wide, placing and retrieving and placing the same rope toy in the same spot like they're trying to solve something. Look deadpan at the lens, because there is a difference, and once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. Joyful toy play has a release to it. There's a loose quality, unease, a dog who can take it or leave it, and who eventually drops the thing and collapses and sighs happily. The anxiety loop has a compulsion to it, a tightness, a dog who cannot stop the behavior, who seems like they're trying to manage something that isn't resolving. The toy becomes a security object. The loop becomes a ritual for self-soothing. And what reads as high energy or so playful from the outside might be a dog who hasn't been given enough outlets for whatever is building up internally and has found the only tool available to cope. This isn't about blame, but it is about paying attention to the energy underneath the behavior, not just the behavior itself. So what does it mean when they specifically choose your things to bring? Your sock, your unwashed shirt, the item that smells most like you? We have labeled this naughty, mischievous, attention-seeking, the dog who raids the laundry, steals shoes, carries your hoodie from room to room like a tiny, extremely motivated thief. Here's where I have to stop myself, though. Actually, wait, because most of the dogs I've seen do this don't destroy the item, they have it. They hold it. They lie on it. They carry it from the bedroom to the couch to the door and back again. That's not destruction. That's not acting out. That is a dog who cannot find you and has found the next closest thing. Dogs experience your scent as a form of your presence. Their olfactory processing is so exponentially more powerful than ours that smell is genuinely a different sense for them. It carries emotional information, safety information, time information. When you leave, or when you're emotionally unavailable even while physically present, your scent becomes an anchor, and they go find the thing that smells most like you. Pause. How many times did you scold them for that? This isn't about letting them chew whatever they want. It's about understanding what the behavior is before you decide what to do about it. Your dog wasn't acting out. Your dog was self-soothing through olfactory connection. They were borrowing a piece of you because they needed it. But what about when they bring the toy to a stranger? A guest they've never met? Does that mean anything? And should it? Your dog has been running background checks on every person who walks through your door. The toy is the instrument. Let that land. The myth is that toy presenting to guests is just friendliness. Your dog is social, loves people, wants everyone to play. And sometimes that's the surface of it. But underneath, something far more deliberate is happening. Dogs assess new people quickly, physically, energetically, and toy presenting is both an offering and a probe. Someone who responds warmly, gets low, engages with appropriate calm energy, passes. Someone who ignores it entirely, swats it away, reacts with irritation or discomfort, gets filed. And dogs remember what they filed. Look at the lens. There was a guy my dog never brought her toy to. Not once, 2 years. I told myself it was random. It was not random. She had information I kept making excuses not to look at directly. She was right. She was right before I was willing to be. The science underneath. Dogs process social trustworthiness through behavioral response. And the toy delivery happens in the first minutes of interaction, which is exactly when that processing is most active. The toy is a question. The response is an answer, and your dog is listening. And then there's the toy behavior that hits differently than all of these, the one that means your dog needs something specific that you haven't given them in a while. Picture this. Your dog sits about 2 feet from where you are. The toy rests between their front paws, head tilted, not barking, not pawing at you, not escalating, just watching your face with that patient, searching look, waiting. And the conventional wisdom, which I understand, I've read it too, is to ignore this. Don't reinforce the attention-seeking. Train them that the behavior doesn't work. And fine, if your dog is genuinely demanding and the boundary matters, okay. But the question almost nobody asks is, what if the demand is valid? Because there's a specific kind of quiet, patient toy presenting that isn't about stimulation. It's about connection. Your actual presence. Not you in the room. You've been in the room all day. Your presence. The full, unhurried, on the floor, 12 uninterrupted minutes of your attention that has nothing else competing for it. Slow. We talk constantly about training dogs to stop demanding attention. We talk almost never about whether the demand was valid in the first place. The physical image that stays with me. The toy between the paws, the patient eyes, and then eventually, the giving up, the slow, heavy exhale as they lie down and drop it. That exhale that always feels slightly like an accusation even when it isn't meant to be. Because they weren't asking for much, they were just asking. Which brings us to the last one. The one I kept, there will be a last toy. You won't know it's the last one when it happens. That's the thing. It'll be a Tuesday probably. Ordinary. The toy will land near your foot the way it always does. The tail will do the thing it always does. And you'll respond however you respond. Maybe you'll pick it up this time. Maybe you won't. And then life will continue and your dog will eventually lie down and that will be that. And you will not know in that moment that it was the last one. Because there will come a day, through age, through illness, through the ordinary passage of a life that runs shorter than ours, when they don't bring it anymore. When the toy stays where you left it, when you walk through the door and the sound of nails on the floor doesn't come, and you will think back involuntarily to every single delivery you half noticed, every toy tossed aside, every soft thud near your foot that you acknowledged with an aw-wah and returned to your strain. Get still! Every toy your dog has ever brought you was a word in an ongoing conversation, conducted in a language they invented specifically to reach you. Because you were worth the effort of inventing it. The only wrong response was never the one you gave in the moment. It was not paying attention to what the moment actually was. I kept the first rope toy my dog ever brought me. It's fraying on both ends. Smells like nothing now, but I know what it meant, and I wish I'd known sooner. Go back to that moment from the beginning. You at your desk, the soft thud near your foot, the rope toy, damp at the ends. Your dog sitting behind it, tail doing that slow, hopeful pendulum swing. watching her face for something to register. You tossed it down the hall. You went back to your screen, and it felt like nothing because you didn't have the translation yet. That toy wasn't an invitation to play. It was the closest thing your dog has to saying I love you, and the specific love that goes with it. I survived without you, and I needed you to know. I trust you with my most important thing. I can't find you, so I found the next closest thing to you. I'm not asking for fetch. I'm asking for you. The conversation is still happening tonight, right now. The toy is probably somewhere in your house at this exact moment. Next time they bring it, stop, just for a second. Get on the floor if you can. Receive it like what it actually is. No hard sell. The toy said everything. If this one sat with you, share it with someone whose dog has been trying to tell them something. And if you want to understand what your dog's body language is really saying beyond the toy, that video is right here.